Test, test. 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 Test, test. Simon. Testing. Test. Okay, welcome to the Women's A platform event. Current diver at the 7.5 meter. An excellent dive, almost no splash. Okay. Platform, one of the most exciting events, and the top 4 events watched at the Olympic Games. Another front 1.5. Splash was a little higher than the last one, so the score would probably be a little bit lower. Okay. Now we're turning our attention to the 10 meter. She'll be traveling over 30 miles an hour when she hits the water. You want to make the smallest possible hole and go through it in order to have no splash, and it hurts less. Excellent job. She got something that technically is called a seething rip. There was no splash, but a lot of bubbles and foam came up. An excellent dive. Now, also from the 10 meter, and again, there must have been a sale on 103Bs because they're doing so many of them. Pause, up. Another good dive, however, it was a little bit short of vertical. Her legs weren't pointing straight up when she made contact with the water. They were pointing a little bit down. And the scores reflect that. Now we're back on the 7 meter. And another above average dive. So far, it's been a very solid contest. And again, another 1.5 somersaults. They have a chance of mixing up the first couple dives, but they all opted to do the fronts first. Good warm-up dive. Little bit of splash. When she hit the water, she bent at the hips a little on the early side. And 5.5. Solid, but not the top row. Now on 7.5, we have a back dive pike. It's going to be a backward jump, arms straight up, and she's going to touch her chest to her thighs and her hands to her toes. Let's see. Great. Very good come out. Slightly over, but a superior rip. And it had that great sound. And the scores reflect it. And again, it's like these girls have copied each other's dive sheets. Another back dive pike from the same platform, 7.5. Okay, she's set. She goes, jump. Another great dive. Now, from a technical side, her hips were a little bit sitting back on takeoff, and that caused her to go out. She needed to keep her hips a little more in line with the platform in order to go up straighter. Okay, now we got to change. An inward 1 1/2 somersaults pike. She's going to jump backwards and spin her head and her body towards the platform. And that's a cement platform, by the way. Let's see what we have here. Nope, my fault. It's another back dive straight. I was fed bad information, probably came from a swimming coach. Okay, now we have the inward 1 1/2 somersaults from the 10 meter. Again, backward jump and spin forward. Pretty difficult idea and somewhat scary, but these women are brave. There we go. Excellent dive. Great form, great height. Entry was pretty good. Now they're breaking up the dive, and we have a little more of a variety. Here we're going to do a back twister, 1 1/2 somersaults, and she's going to put a half twist on her takeoff. So she'll go in like a forward dive, but take off like a back dive. Turn, boom. Now we're back to the back dive pike. Again, a backward jump. She's going to be touching her hands to her toes. She's going to come out with her head looking towards her toes. Slide out, they call it. And then do a back lineup. Good jump, good dive. Slightly over, which means she's past vertical. Now, starting our third round of diving, Ellie's going to do the exact same dive, but with a front takeoff. Again, it's a front jump, and then essentially it's the same as the back dive. Reach up, touch your toes, slide out, bang. Great dive. Let's see what the scores are. Great job of judging at this exciting meet, and that was a high-scoring dive. Okay. Here we go. Front jump, touch the toes, slide out. Another superior dive. This is turning out to be quite a good contest. These women are putting on an excellent show so far. Okay. Again, from the 7 1/2 meter. She's focused, jump, touch, slide. Okay. Now, from the technical side, when she went to touch her toes, she pulled her shoulders back a little bit. She should have collapsed in more, and that caused her to spin a little faster than she wanted to. and she was a little bit over. Now we're turning our attention to the 10 meter, the highest possible tower you can jump off of. Takes about 1.2 seconds to hit the water after the jump. And it seems like an hour to the diver, but for us it's about 1.2 seconds. For our English-speaking crowd, we know that gravity goes at 32 feet per second squared, and we're up there at about 34, 36 feet and with a jump. Okay, very good dive. Touched a little late, and over she went, but a great lineup had it gone in straight. Okay, Layla is from the United States. Traveled pretty far. Let's see what she can do. Jump, touch, good. Okay, good dive. Not quite tight enough on the bottom to get a clean entry. Okay, if you're wondering what she was doing, she was drying off the tower so she had better grip and friction. This should be an inward 1 1/2 somersaults pike. Backward jump, spin towards the board or platform with a great rip on the bottom, but we have a great set of judges. The dive was a hair short, and the judges picked up on it. And now we're on now tower divers tend to bring their arms straight up so they can throw safer, and springboard divers tend to bring their arms up but not straight up. They leave them a little bit in front. That's because the diving board bends and they need a little weight going forward. These platforms do not bend, and they do not move. If I were diving, they might move. Not because of my strength, but I think it's a feature of my weight. Okay, now we're on the 5 meter, and it's an inward dive pike. Somewhat basic. Okay. We are now back up on 10 meter. On 10 meter, the divers are traveling a lot faster as they hit the water. It also allows them to close the hole up that they make in the water a little quicker, which prevents splash. Here we go. Back 1 1/2 somersaults with a half twist. She was over, so in spite of the height and the speed she hit the water, she opened up a fairly large hole hitting the water, and the splash was somewhat big. Now, inward 1 1/2 on 7. You see her arms are pretty much straight up. That's an indication that she's a tower diver. Even when they're on springboard, they still raise them straight up. Okay, a solid dive, but a little heavier than she probably wanted on the water. When I say heavy, I mean splash. Now, on 5 meters, she's going to do a forward 1 1/2 somersaults, and in the middle, she's going to put 1 1/2 twist. Okay, a good dive. A little bit short, which means she didn't quite make it to vertical. Had she come out of the dive with a little more pike, she might have been able to go in straight. When the divers pike a little more or tuck a little tighter, they shorten their radius and allows them to spin a little bit faster. Now we're back up to the 5 meter. Diver number 1. She's going to spin backwards 1 1/2 times tuck, kick out, and that is great. That's an easy dive, but it's very hard to go in straight. Great job. Now, diver number 2. We're turning our attention up to 10 meter. Now, this is a very scary dive, and the reason it's scary is you're going to jump forward and spin backwards towards the tower, and you can't see it. So she's going to jump forward, spin back towards the tower 2 1/2 times, and then kick out, which she did. Now, she kicked out a hair late, which means she's going over, and she had a little excessive arch on the bottom. But it's a very difficult dive. Okay. Now we're turning our attention back to the 5 meter. She's standing on her toes to get a little hop, and it's a back 1 1/2 somersaults with 1 1/2 twist. Now, for those of you who had your volume up, you could hear her palms hit the water. She had a nice flat palm. It gave a little bit of a clap sound, and the judges don't supposed to count that, but they know she was square and flat with the palm and will score a little bit higher. So we just saw a forward 2 1/2 somersaults pike. It was the first one of the contest, and it was a superior dive. Now, our attention's back to the 7 meter and another forward 2 1/2 somersaults pike. Now, she had her head down a little bit, and she did misjudge the water and the time to open. And she went over, and the scores reflect it. Now, we're back on what they call 7 meter, but that's an abbreviation for 7 1/2. She's doing an arm stand. Edge of the tower, arm stand, lean forwards, pike, and somersault. So effectively, she was standing on her hands on a 2-story building. Now, diver number 1, starting the 6th round, is up. She put a towel at the end of the mat for a little bit better traction. You need friction to create somersault. And she had a great dive, but it went over, but it was fairly clean on the bottom. When I say she needed friction to create somersault, for those hockey fans, you've never seen a hockey player do a somersault on the ice because they can't really create friction without turning sideways. Where a figure skater has teeth at the tip of their skates, they can dig them in, have friction, and they can do a somersault. Okay. That was a inward spinning back towards the platform 2 1/2 times. A very difficult dive. And she was a little bit short. Had her arms been a little bit straighter on the throw, she may have developed a little bit more power. Now we're going to the 5 meter, what I believe is a back 1 1/2 somersaults, half twist. Nope, it's a back 1 1/2 somersaults pike. An easy dive, but it's hard to do it well, and she did. Okay. Turning our attention to the 7 meter again. And again, when we say 7, we mean 7 1/2. It only comes in half flavors. That was an inward 2 1/2 somersaults. She finished it well above the water and had a solid entry. And she was rewarded by the judges. Okay, now we're back on the 5 meter. Another back 1 1/2 somersault spike. Again, an easy dive, but hard to make it look well. She came out a little early with her head back, creating a force that caused her legs to go down, and essentially we call landing it short because it's short of vertical. The girls are moving pretty fast up and down the tower. It's an awful lot of work. Going up the stairs is not easy. It's going up 3 or 4 flights of stairs every 3 minutes at the rate they're going. Now we're up on 7 meter, and she's going to do an inward dive pike. Again, it's a back jump with a forward spin towards the tower. And for her, great. She had a little bit of splash. She went straight through the water instead of doing what we call a pike roll, which will accelerate your speed through the water and closes up the hole that they create a little quicker. The quicker that hole closes up, the better the dive. Now we're on 7 meter again with diver number 1. And I believe she's doing an inward 2 1/2, same dive, 2 1/2 somersaults. Now, this is going to be a difficult one to judge. She went back a little bit, but she did a great somersault and a great finish. Now, on 7 meters, going to do a back 1 1/2 somersaults, and in the middle, she's going to put 1 1/2 twist. Okay. This dive's a little new for her, I can tell, because she's not comfortable. Twisted a little bit late, which usually means you're going to go over, which means pass vertical. Okay, turning our attention to the 5 meter. Forward jump, spin back towards the tower. It's also called a blind dive because you really can't see yourself opening and when and how and going in the water. Very difficult. There we go. Okay. She did the dive. She could have had a little bit stronger jump. A little quicker knees lifting up in the somersault and left it a little short. But again, a very scary dive. Now, we have a back 1 1/2 twister. And again, it's going to be back 1 1/2 somersaults, 1 1/2 twist. And she's on the 5 meter. It's actually rated higher because it's lower than the 7 or the 10 and a lot harder to do. You got to be a very strong person, and she did a great job, left it a little bit short. Okay. But a very hard dive to do, all of that spinning and twisting prior to hitting the water. And for those doing the math, the 5 meter is half the height of the 10 meter, but it is almost the same time as the 10 meter in the air. Those who are doing physics, you can be doing the math now. It is not half the time in the air, it's more. Okay, we had an inward 2 1/2 somersaults. She didn't quite make all 2 1/2 somersaults prior to opening. And that's why she received the scores. Again, that's a lot of dive on 7 meter. You have less than a second to do 2 1/2 somersaults from a stand. Now the last diver in the contest, number 6, is going to do a back 1 1/2 half twist. A little bit close to the tower, not something we encourage. And again, the scores reflect that. Now, this is her last dive of the contest. Back 1 1/2 twist with 1 1/2 somersaults. Many of the divers put their strongest dive last, and some put their worst dive last. Let's see what we have here. Well, I think that answers the question. She saved her best for last. Okay, diver number 2, she's marking off her steps. So when she runs to the end of the tower, she's at the end of the tower and jumps. She's getting comfortable. She's going to do a little trot with a run. Arms up. She's going to throw the somersault. 2 1/2 somersaults. A very solid entry. Again, she did one of her best dives at the end of the contest. You can hear the crowd cheering, mostly her team. Okay, now we have another 1 1/2, 2 1/2 somersaults. She marks off her steps. You got to be careful here. If you're too excited and your steps are too big going back, you miss the tower. Okay, she's going to do her run. She's going to hit the tower with her arms up, throw her hands down. 1 1/2, 2 1/2, 2 1/2 somersaults. All of that in about 1 second. And again, to the diver, it probably seems like 10 seconds. Okay, now we have another back 1 1/2 somersaults in pike. Very difficult dive to go in straight. Interesting that she's finishing with it, but let's see, maybe she is good on the dive. Left it a little bit short on the come out. She pulled her head back, and pulling the head back when you're short makes you shorter. Pulling your head back when you're over makes you over-er. Okay. Now we're finishing up on the platform. Girls A, it's not required to do an arm stand. In the next age group, when they get older, it is. That was a great dive. Let's see what she gets. Okay. She's going to finish up with her front 2.5 somersaults. Tuck on 5 meter. Again, run, arms up, spin and tuck. Great somersault, but she kind of missed the bottom. Sometimes when you're spinning fast, it's hard to see. Okay, that concludes the women's A1 meter. I tell you, very impressive, exciting event, a great pool with some outstanding judging. Great day to dive. These women are pretty brave.